吗？咱喜鹊派给同事们做一顿饭有多鸡巴累吗？不吃鱼，不吃禽类，不吃饭，不吃鸡鸭鹅，不吃海鲜，不吃贝类，高人只是唯一一个好喂的，多伙食，烦的要死这帮主播。能帮你收一收不？晚上好，欢迎来到今天下班后的喜鹊派。We are in the middle of a fucking nightmare, it seems. I apologize. I actually don't apologize. I don't give a shit. It's messy because we're breaking down right now. Just so you know that I'm not lying, 老师，帮我甩个镜头. That is the classical image of a kitchen being cleaned. Is a bunch of guys with very good ankle and hip mobility squatting on top of a bunch of induction burners, trying to get that last little bit of grease out of the extractor hood. While they do that, I feel it necessary for me to be the one to make them dinner. Today we're going to be sharing a New Year's dinner consisting of 8 dishes because that is traditional. On our menu today, we have Luobo Gao, a Cantonese classic, another southern classic, which is a steamed fish, 蒸了一条鱼, white-caught chicken, 白切鸡, 猪手, a northern classic, 尖椒爆肥肠, 排骨炖粉条, 炖豆角. We also have 四喜丸子, Lotus root sandwich, shrimp avec shell, and shrimp sans shell. 饺子不串菜. We've also involved a guest, creators whom I adore and respect, to give their opinion on our main conversation topic today, which is why and how is Chinese New Year dying? So before we get into all that depressing bullshit, white guys from San Francisco, here's how we make the food. Let's start with the stuff that you should already know. And by that I mean we've already made a fucking video. So if you really care about the specific steps, flip back and go watch those. We're gonna start with 四喜丸子, which is actually something we talked about previously in another video, the big juicy meatball that we braise in a sweet and sour sauce. So I'm not gonna walk you through specifically how to make this. We have 2 portions here, as you can see, because as you know, you have to serve this in a multiple of 4. Don't ask me why. If you really care, flip back and go watch that video, yeah? We'll leave a link in the description. Is that what we do on YouTube? Sure, we'll leave a link in the description. Next up, we have poo pipes and jalapeno peppers. Over here, I have prepared very roughly chopped jalapeno peppers. There's no rhyme or reason to this. It's just chunks. And then the poo pipes, which are the large intestines of a pig. I've cleaned them with salt and baking soda to get rid of most of the funk. And by funk, I mean feces smell. But anybody who grew up with Asian food knows that the feces is kind of part of the flavor. If you get rid of all of the feces smell, this dish won't taste that good. And I mean that. Fight in the comment section if that offends you, and then watch real Asians tell you otherwise. We're gonna flavor that really heavily with a brown slurry of sauces that I made earlier, as per a video that we did previously a long while back about how to pre-season and do flavor sets for your Asian foods. Over here, I didn't get any inserts of the shot. This is just braised hog's feet. You just take the little trotters off of a pig and then braise them. What he usually does is just soy sauce, bay leaf, a lot of Chinese spices, almost like a medicine soup that northern dinner tables all have during the New Year's. If you come from a poor family, 吃猪手孬嘛. It's really hard for me to translate that, but you know, if anyone in the audience is from the north, feel free to help me and try in the comment section below. I got my colleague Charlie to do this for me because he insisted. So this has already been braised and it's served room temperature. So that goes off to the side over here. So over here we have some southern classics. Full disclosure, this is my first time making this because I don't really like eating it that much. I find it stanky. But that being said, it is a traditional southern classic that a lot of southerners do enjoy during Chinese New Year's. In here is Daikon, the aforementioned turnip, shredded or grated or chopped if you're a dick and you want to use your knife. The process for this is very simple. It starts in a wok with oil. In that you caramelize your cured Asian sausages. 腊肠, 腊肉, and 虾仁. Swirl it around until it's nice and caramelized and the fat is released and it starts to smell awful. That's when you know it's pretty much done. At which point you throw in your shredded, grated, or chopped daikon, and then you let it ride on a medium-high heat until it's steamed most of the way through, until the turnip becomes tender but not falling apart. You then stir in, off the heat, a rice flour and water slurry. Not glutinous rice flour, not sweet rice flour, just normal rice flour. 粘米粉. Yeah? Cool. You don't want a sticky texture. You want it to be a loose and fluffy texture. If you want it to be a denser cake, add more rice flour, as with most things in life. If you want it to be loose and sloppy, then don't. Up to you, yeah? After you stir it in, you'll feel the residual heat kind of cake the starches up and gelatinize them partially, at which point it is ready to turn out into a rectangle mold that's been greased and lined with parchment paper. You throw it into a steamer. I'm using my Rational. At home, use a steamer basket. Steam for about 20 minutes or until the center reads roughly 90 degrees, similar to a cake or a piece of bread. You pull it out, let it cool, covered or uncovered, up to you. And you can then cut it into individual portions, as I have done here, because the final step is to sear them on all sides and make them crispy on the edges. Another thing that I don't think I've ever made, but I might have drunk once, I'm not too sure. 白切鸡 Waika chicken, fucking poached bird. 你们广东人怎么说的？无鸡不成宴，什么什么？无鸡不成宴。Yeah, 无鸡不成宴. If there's no chicken, it's not a party. That's the best way to translate that. If there ain't no chicken, it ain't no party. Chicken is a very important part of the Southern diet, and by Southern I do mean Cantonese. They eat chicken whenever the fuck they can. If you don't eat chicken as a Cantonese person, you will have your papers revoked. So, this is the most classical way that a Cantonese person would make a chicken. 白切鸡. Don't be fooled by white cut. There's really not that much cutting. It's just a poached chicken. In a wok, you throw in water, you season it heavily with chicken powder, salt, MSG, the classics, the usual culprits. Ginger to get rid of the funk. I don't think it's necessary, but it's up to you. And then you rub the inside and outside of your bird heavily with salt and let it cure a little bit. At which point, you start spooning over hot water and poaching it in the hot water a little bit at a time. The idea is you're supposed to dip it, then flip it, then dip it, and flip it, and release it, and dip it, and flip it, and pull it out like 3 or 4 times. It's a fucking nightmare, and it's completely unnecessary. Tell the Cantonese I said this. Because what you can do otherwise is just steam it at the temperature you like, or cook it in a sous vide bath, as I have done, after demonstrating to you pointlessly that you're supposed to do it in a wok. So, this has been cooked at 68 degrees for 1.5 hours. You can go higher temperature for lower amounts of time. That is then shocked in an ice bath to keep the skin nice and gelatinous. Reserve off to the side for reheating later before we serve. Now it's on to the dishes that I haven't actually prepped out beforehand. So this is something that Charlie helped me with. I don't actually know much about this dish, but apparently he's good at making it, and it's a classic from where Vincent's from. This is a Hubei classic, north of the lake province. It's essentially a fucking lotus root sandwich. It's just a slice of lotus root shoved with a wet farce of heavily seasoned pork mince. That is going to go for a quick dip and fry in batter, and it's served crispy and hot. All right. And then after that, another thing that Charlie prepped for me, honestly, like one of the best things that you can have in your kitchen for Chinese New Year's is a Charlie. So here's a batter. Here's a northern Chinese person's idea of garnish, which is just chunks of onion and bell pepper. Shrimp with shell, shrimp avec shell, and shrimp sans shell. One is going to be battered and fried crispy, almost like American Chinese food, and the other one is going to be essentially shallow fried in fat. So we have, count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dishes. This is probably my favorite right now, which is a northern stew. I will show you guys how to make this separately in another video, I promise, because this is a genuinely lovely dish that I grew up with, that I enjoy a lot. It's a stew of broad beans, potatoes, riblets, and sweet potato starch flour noodles. It's sticky, it's salty, it's heavy, and it'll put some fat on your rib cage. It is a cornerstone of every northern dinner table, and it's as easy as putting everything in a pot, hammering it with brown sauces, and letting it tick over until everything's soft, which only takes about 45 minutes because we don't simmer, we just fucking let it boil. And of course, another important thing for pretty much everyone that grew up in this country during Chinese New Year's, 必须得有一条蒸鱼. You have to have a fish on the table. There's a lot of puns in the Chinese language, and this is one of the most important ones. 年年有余. So we've made a lovely steamed red grouper. Beautiful fish. It's a southern classic, And honestly, for Northerners, we'll cook the fish and just leave it on the table. Nobody actually fucking touches it, because nobody really likes eating fish in the North that much. In the South, a big deal. So I picked one of their favorites, which is a little red grouper, and I'm going to finish it up with a little bit of hot oil and scallion and ginger shreds on top when we come time to serve. Yeah? Once again, if you're interested in how to actually make the food, let me know in the comments down below. Today, it's all about getting the food out quick. Yeah? So, we're gonna start in reverse order of what retains heat, the fat, the easiest. So I'm gonna make the sauce for my little balls of happiness. I was asked by my colleagues why, against my better judgment, I want to make such a depressing, sad bitch video about what I mentioned earlier, why I think Chinese New Year is dying. There was less fanfare, less noise, less explosions. When was the last time you remember having the Chinese New Year that we were promised as kids? The one where the young people know their manners and the old people actually know how to express themselves. Where people are happy to see each other, to enjoy classic foods that you've missed so much, and, you know, just bask in each other's company and blah, 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 blah. This all being said, I think I have a responsibility, and in my humble opinion, I also think that you have a responsibility, if you are indeed a disenfranchised modern Chinese person, wherever you are in the world, to reacquaint yourselves with what was supposed to matter. But anyways, this is a dish that every northern table must have. It is a symbol of good things to come, as we've already expressed in our previous video. And if you're hesitant about making Asian food at home, it's one of the ones that I recommend you try first, because its success rate is high. And that can be garnished with the prerequisite coriander leaves. 龙哥，帮我上个菜呗，四喜丸子好了。All right, next up, we're gonna be making the poo pipes and jalapenos. And what's important for this dish is fuck tons of fat. First thing that goes down is your aromatics, otherwise known as an uncomfortable amount of garlic. At which point goes in your large intestines. This process is what we call liu, is to gently cooks it and gives it a nice snappy texture. After poo pipes look like shell pasta, you can drain them off of their fat and reheat your pan, ready for the next fry. After your oil is smoking, you get a little bit of color and heat into your bell peppers. In go your poo pipes. All right, and then in goes your dark ass sauce. Dark soy, oyster sauce, soy sauce, the brown symphony. And this is just a cornstarch slurry. Thicken the sauce up. Effectively done. Beautiful. 高正全，要不要过来验个货？可以吗？可以，是这意思吗？看着就很香啊。好了，来了，一盘子的粑粑椒来。While I'm over there toiling, I'm gonna enlist the help of my colleagues. 杨儿，麻烦你帮我把藕夹和那个溜虾段帮我给弄了呗，行吗 ？So while my colleagues are arguing and helping me at the same time, and food's cooking over there, now is a great time to get started on my Luobo Gao. Which is a perfect segue into our guest of honor. We're so lucky to be able to invite Steph from Chinese Cooking Demystified to sign on with us and give us a little bit of insight into her opinions on the topic of Chinese New Year's.
You see, coming from an urban Cantonese family, we are so divided away from the traditional and rural lifestyle. All we have left for Spring Festival is some food items. So in some years, my dad will make something that he learned from his dad. For example, Luobo Gao steamed Daikon cake or Meat Oreo steamed water chestnut cake, or something called Gok Zai or Dansan. For dishes, he will sometimes make some intense goose dishes, or more often, he would make something that everybody in the family loves, which are white cut chicken, bak chi gai.
Perfect segue. Another classic that Steph mentioned is bai jie ji, the chicken that we mentioned earlier. So over here, I've already drained off all the juices, and I'm going to carve this up and then reheat it, whether it be through steaming or through the gentle act of ladling over hot liquids over a portioned chicken. Yeah. So here, This part is just like any other cooked chicken. You're just carving it up, yeah? These do not get thrown away. All right. Now, please feel free to judge me for the poor job I'm doing of butchering this chicken in a very Cantonese way, but as a northerner, I'm trying my best. I don't see you motherfuckers making northern classics, so quit bitching. There we go. Oh, that's perfect. 是不是这个熟度？广东人们是这个熟度吗？
Yeah.
太好了。They're medium well chicken. I don't know why the Cantonese love this doneness of chicken, but this is the doneness of chicken they prefer.
Always curious with this blood.
Is it safe? Is it safe? I don't know. Think about how many Cantonese people there are on this planet.
Oh, yeah.
All right, perfect. I feel so accomplished. I made a Cantonese classic. Oh, by the way, if you guys are curious about the color, it's turmeric. It's not because I have like this magical yellow Chinese chicken. There's a lot of cha餐厅, little tea places out there in the Cantonese food sphere that use food coloring instead of turmeric.
Why yellow?
That's a great question. 广东人们为什么要黄啊？
黄说明它鸡的本身品质好啊。温汤去说为
真会编。Sure，是的。
你为什么不手起刀落呢？
刀不够重，也是高碳钢刀。我比较心疼我的刀，还有我没那个本事。I'm just not good enough, man. I know what you're talking about. Is like those Cantonese 师傅 with the dirty apron and grease everywhere, going tok 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 tok, and they have a perfect chicken. Yeah, that's not me.
That's still good enough for the first time.
I don't know. I mean, I would love to have the commentary of some Cantonese people. That would make me the happiest person on earth.
大家说的光顾你觉得老会是习俗。
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I want to say yes, but I can't. I was born in the mid-90s, which means that we're the last generation of kids to be asked to behave somewhat like traditional Chinese people. All the kids who came younger than us, fuck, they have a more boring time than we do. I'd much rather hang out the way that my dad hung out during Chinese New Year's, which is put on your fresh new clothes, spend all day making a little paper lantern, and then fuck off into the streets and throw fireworks into the neighbor's chicken coop because your parents aren't allowed to beat you on Chinese New Year's. 白灼虾, you're supposed to poach it in water with a few pieces of ginger, but I think it's a waste of product. I already have this heavily flavored, delicious chicken broth over here, so I'm just gonna do that. Yeah? All right, the shrimp is just cooked through. That's exactly what I want. 能帮我热一锅油吗？热一小锅油吗？ This is our garlic shrimp oil that we made with shrimp shells and some leftover garlic that we had lying around from prep today. That goes inside there. Give it a quick little toss, and that can be ready for the serve. And on the fish it goes. Shrimp, shrimp, shrimp. Beauty. 谢谢. Okay, here is retarded hot oil, and in goes ginger. Ow. Fuck tons of scallion. Careful you don't burn yourself. A little bit of scallion on top, near the very, very end. 来，广东人，随便一个广东人。Over here, Charlie, once again, Charlie, has prepared me. Ow! Whoa, I forgot that's hot. Has prepared all the ingredients I need to put the sauces on my shrimp. This is the traditional northern Chinese art of spending a long time to crispen something, and now I'm going to uncrispen it. He also speaks Korean, if you can't hear it. He also speaks Cantonese. That is exactly right. He speaks the essence of every language. Anyways, the last dish and my favorite. This is already hot. I just have to put it in this wok to serve. 仪式感嘛，老陈，温那么多。倒，来，不仪式了。这个是每个东北桌上只要有这个借口做的话，他会做。Absolutely. 来，拿个菜。
哎， 很有趣的是，做年夜饭的那个人基本上吃不到饭。
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Generally speaking, a good northern traditional day, you wake up in the morning and you start prepping for dinner. The women all get together and start yelling at the men. The men start get together and they yell at each other. And after about 5 hours of yelling, somehow, lunch is served at 2 p.m. At which point we start prepping for dinner, which is supposed to happen at 4:30 p.m. And then we start cooking and cooking and cooking and cooking. But throughout, we're already getting drunk and eating snacks and eating. So no one's ever really hungry on this day. It's not about the food. It's about the process of the tradition. That is something I got the fortune to experience. I don't know about these guys, but me, the worst part about this time of year now is it's lonely. I don't know, don't you think so? My dad's not here. My mom doesn't live here. My grandparents are, let's be honest, they're nearer the end than they are the beginning. Who's going to do this with me when I grow up? I mean, I'm sorry, I've already grown up. I'm a 30-year-old man, but who's going to do this with me later? My uncles, my aunties, my cousins, my nieces, my nephews? No. We're all living in our own little box in different corners of the country. It's excruciating. It's really lonely. 你们先吃啊，不用等我，我还得下饺子呢。不吭声是吧？吃，赶紧靠你这边看。This is going to be a messy video, but I do hope that I got a chance to hang out with you guys. Thank you once again to Chinese Cooking Demystified for joining us on this little conversation and giving us some much needed input and giving me a chance to make some food that I've never made before. I wish you nothing but prosperity and good health in the year of the dragon. I hope that you're good to yourself. I hope that you're good to others, and I hope they return the favor tenfold. I hope that you invest in yourself, invest in your health, invest in your improvement, invest in your own betterment. And more than anything else, I hope that I am capable of maintaining this dialogue with you. I'm gonna get started on these dumplings because they're probably gonna be my favorite part of this meal and the only thing I get to eat tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care. Yo! Wow, you're so classy. 你们不放八角吗？
放啊！没想到你也放。
我很严谨的好不好？常年吐槽粤菜的我不得先学一点再吐槽吗？东北人放屁得香。下条多宝鱼就行了。
清蒸哦，
蒸多宝鱼，够鸡巴小气我。
师傅说不行。